Putin broke gold forever. And to understand why, we're going to have to take a small tour of history. See, there was a time when gold was money. You just used gold in exchange for goods and services. Then we moved to paper money, where banks held gold in their lockers and they gave you notes in exchange, and you used those notes as stand-ins for gold. Slowly, the redeemability of notes in exchange for gold was cut off, and finally in 1971, the gold standard ended. President Richard Nixon of the US came on television and said that dollars will no longer be redeemable for gold. And since then, we've been living in a fiat standard where your money, your rupees, your euros, your dollars are backed by nothing. They're only backed by the shared belief that these are valuable and these can be used to buy stuff in the economy. This was going along fine. For many years, this was all right. But what happened in 2008 first is that there was this great financial crisis which sowed doubts in the seeds of central banks all around the world. They started questioning if the US-based world order, if the dollar-based monetary system is going to last, is going to retain its value. And after many years of being net sellers of gold and net buyers of treasuries, central banks flipped and became net buyers of gold and net sellers of treasuries. This kept going on for years until 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, and the US and the West in general sanctioned Russia, and they froze all of their dollar-denominated assets. What that caused is that Russia got angry, of course, but it made everyone else afraid. It spooked all central banks around the world because they were thinking, if the US can do this to Russia, once the US is upset with us for some reason, they can do it to us too. So do I want to hold US dollars, US treasuries, when I know there is a possibility that it can all be frozen, it can all be taken away? The answer is obvious. So since 2022, central banks have been buying gold like there is no tomorrow. Every year, every quarter, they're buying more and more. They're breaking records for how much has been bought ever in history. And it's not just one or two countries. It is quite widespread. It is India, it is Russia, it is China, but it is also Turkey, and it is also Azerbaijan and Poland and Brazil. Like, everyone is buying gold, everyone is dumping treasuries, to an extent that for the first time in 30 years, central banks hold more gold than they hold treasuries. They have finally flipped the US-based monetary system, and it's anyone's guess what this is going to lead to, but it is very obvious to me that gold cannot be the future of money, and I've explained why in this video. The future of money has to be something that is suited to the technological needs of the 21st century, and that is Bitcoin. So far, central banks have been piling their money into gold and the gold's value has increased. But imagine this happening with Bitcoin, and it's not a big leap to take because central banks are already putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets. The US has a strategic Bitcoin reserve, Bhutan has Bitcoin, El Salvador has Bitcoin. In fact, El Salvador uses Bitcoin as money. So once this spreads, once acceptability increases, once more and more central banks add Bitcoin to their balance sheets and they turn to Bitcoin in times of crisis as a hedge against the dollar and also as a supplement to gold, you can imagine what is going to happen to the price of Bitcoin.